So I decided I was going to go ahead and film today, even though I don't feel good. And it's not that I'm sick. It's that I am in the middle of a flare, which is a time when, as someone who has autoimmune diseases, it's a time when my autoimmune system decides to misfire and it starts to cause pain and or fatigue, exhaustion. It causes, like right now, my throat is sore, and I have a headache. So if you've ever wondered what it's like when someone has an autoimmune disease, then just keep watching because this video is for you. Okay, so hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Kaya. This is Kaya's Closet, and we do all things faith, fashion, and fun around here. So today is one of those days where it's about my faith, and the reason is that I am in the middle of a flare. Last week, I had a really sore throat and I was sick, or at least I thought I was getting sick. And it turns out that I was not getting sick. It was the beginning of a flare. I even went to the doctor because I thought, okay, well, maybe it's strep throat, but the strep test came back negative. And my doctor said, well, maybe it's just a viral infection. And I really should have thought, okay, well, it's not an active cough and it's not getting better even with, I was taking Dayquil, I was taking NyQuil, was drinking some Theraflu teas and everything, and nothing was making it better. And I should have thought to myself, okay, it's a flare, but I didn't think that. So I guess the first question is, what autoimmune disease do you have? And I guess for me, even, I was like, what is an autoimmune disease when I first got diagnosed? I didn't even understand, what does auto and immune, how do those words even go together, right? So that's, I guess, the first question that I should answer. Rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune disease. It's a condition. It's a chronic illness, actually. That means my immune system actively thinks there's something wrong with my body and tries to fix it. So I feel like I have the flu right now. Like, I'm exhausted. It's hard for me to even function. I have aches in my body. My throat hurts. I have a headache. I just am completely fatigued and exhausted. But there's nothing wrong with me. It's just that I'm having a flare. So part of the Kaya's Closet journey is my journey with my autoimmune disease. I am not saying this because I want any sympathy or anything like that. What I really just want you all to understand is that I know that I'm not the only one that is going through something that is not visible to everybody. That's the thing about autoimmune diseases, is that they are sometimes they're very silent. They don't make a lot of noise. They don't get a lot of attention. And that's okay. I just want you guys to know that, my God is a big God. And so as I am listening to my body, I know that God meets me where I am. He meets me where I am. And so now, since we know what an autoimmune disease is, let's talk about specifically rheumatoid arthritis. So, rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune disease that causes inflammation in your joints. For me, it started, I guess, in 2019. No, 2020. It started in 2020. After I had COVID and got the COVID vaccine. And I do attribute my disease to that time. I know I might be a conspiracy theorist, but I never had any chronic illness. I never had anything other than get a cold, go to the doctor, get better, right? So for me, taking medication on a daily basis was foreign. I didn't have high blood pressure. I didn't have pre-diabetes. I was completely healthy. Looking back on it now, obviously I wish that I had never taken the vaccine and, just kind of held up in my house and stayed healthy. But it is it is what it is. And I know God will use it for his glory at the end of the day. And I'm not saying that I'm sick, for a specific reason. I'm saying that although I made decisions that, in my opinion, resulted in me being sick, I know God will get the glory no matter what. That's what I'm saying. You don't have to agree with me. You can think something totally different. Obviously, I am just the one going through this in my own experience. Other people may have different opinions. I'm not a doctor. I have not done any studies. I do not know all of the data. I'm just telling you what I feel and what I think. These are my own personal opinions. So let me just say that. I would recommend anybody out there that's having any issues to go see their personal physicians, rheumatologists, whatever specialists, so that they can get checked out for themselves like I did. So let me just say that. So that now that that's said, I began feeling like I couldn't get out of bed. I began feeling like just to get out of the bed, I had to have some ibuprofen. And before I knew it, I was 2-3 bottles of ibuprofen in. And my husband was like, I'm not giving you any more ibuprofen to get out of the bed. I want you to go see a doctor. And I did. I went to go see my doctor. I told her I fell. I said my leg just kind of gave out from up underneath me. I've been having a lot of swelling. I can't get out of bed. I'm in pain. My hands hurt. my at the time my feet, I could just feel swelling. It was just inflammation everywhere. And she said, okay, well, let's do all the tests and figure out what's going on. And when the test came back, she called me. And my doctor, I don't think I had ever talked to her on the phone outside of seeing her in the office. I think it was basically, go see her. And then like maybe a nurse or something would call me and say, oh, hey, she called in a prescription for you, go pick it up or whatever. But the nurse got on the phone and was just like, hold on, she wants to talk to you. And I was like, what you talking about, Willis? Yeah. Um, but when she got on the phone, she was like, hey, listen, like, I need you to make an appointment to go and talk to a specialist. And I think you either have rheumatoid arthritis or lupus, because the test that she took came back and showed that. So then she put the nurse back on the phone, and I got an appointment to go to the rheumatologist. And that's how my journey started. One of the things that I will say is that my doctor, my primary care, she was very attentive, and she listened, and she really heard me out in terms of my symptoms. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate her for that. I know a lot of people that have been diagnosed with diseases that had been talking to their doctors about it, and their doctors sending them to the wrong people or saying that they had the wrong thing and not doing tests and just listening and then making diagnosis from listening to symptoms. And I appreciate my doctor running all the tests to back up what I think she may have already known. So yeah, shout out to all of the physicians out there that listen to their patients and run all the tests so they can figure out exactly what's going on, versus just thinking they know and then diagnosing them without the backup data. I praise God that I had a physician who listened to me, who heard my pain, who understood what I was saying, and who acted based on listening to how I felt. Thank God. Now, fast forward to this past week, last few weeks, where I've been experiencing a flare, which is my immune system misfiring and acting up, even though I'm very well managed under all of my medications. My immune system is just acting up. And so it just gives me the opportunity to really speak my faith. It really gives me the opportunity to speak to the mountain and tell the mountain to move. So I think this is a good time to really reflect on just kind of how I got here and how I am going to move forward and get out of this flare. So next, I guess the question is, how do I know that I am in the middle of a flare? And how did it come about? So yeah, let's talk about that. It was my husband's mom's birthday, her 89th birthday, and we decided to surprise her by going to Orlando, Florida. So we rode down to Orlando, which was about like a 6.5 hour drive, but because of traffic, we sat in traffic for like an hour. I just wasn't good. Then we got down there, we went straight to dinner. The rest of the family was already there. We went straight to dinner. We surprised her. It was amazing. And I absolutely loved hanging out with them. I really did. It was great. I spent Saturday morning with them. Probably about, I don't know. I think my husband and his dad were watching the Alabama basketball game. So right about that time is when my body just started to shut down on me, and I could feel it. I could physically feel the exhaustion and the fatigue, and it was horrible. It was just like my body. It was almost like someone had hit stops, the brakes, like stop. And I went and I laid down in the bed, and I never got back up. I just never got back up. Um, his mom came to check on me. He came to check on me. My husband did. And I felt so bad. I wasn't trying to not participate, but it was like my body just shut down. I noticed that my hands were a little swollen as well. And I was like, oh, okay, my hands are feeling swollen. Then they have been feeling swollen, and my feet have been feeling swollen. And the joints have just been hurting over these last few weeks. And I just am like, how can I, how can I be on all this medication? Right now I'm on leflunomide and hydroxychloroquine. And then I go to get an infusion every 4 weeks. So in my mind, I'm like, how can I be on all of this medication, and how can it be working, right? And then I still have a flare, and I just don't get it. And so I was like, let me just do a little research. Let me try to understand it a little bit better. And what I have come to find out is that my immune system still misfires. It still misfires, even though I'm on the medication. And the medication, so first of all, an autoimmune disease is a systemic disease. And so there are some medications that you can take. There are some different biologics that you can go on that do help with your immune system. What happens is that my immune system constantly believes there's something wrong with me all the time. And and it goes to try to fix those things that are wrong with me. Well, there's really nothing wrong. And so my immune system thinks there's something wrong, goes to fix whatever is wrong, but there's nothing wrong. In essence, that is what an autoimmune disease is all about. And let me just say that I am not a doctor. I am a patient. I I am giving my own personal experience in how I feel and how how I am being affected by my disease. Other people might feel a different way. Other people might have different aspects of their disease as to how their body reacts to it. And this is just my own experiences. I'm not giving anyone any advice. I definitely would suggest that you consult your own physician, your own rheumatologist, to deal with your disease. But in my experience with my rheumatologist, I have been on methotrexate, which was, I think, the very first drug that they tried with me. And it is a very powerful drug, but they give you smaller dosages. It is a drug that really does help, and it helped me quite a bit. Methotrexate, it really helped me quite a bit, but I ended up being allergic to it. I was so upset. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a miracle drug. I took it and I felt better. Now, for me, when I took the methotrexate, I did have like adverse reactions to it. I got a couple of little kind of sores in my mouth a little bit, um, because it is a chemotherapy drug. It is a chemotherapy drug, but they do give it to you in smaller doses, for rheumatoid arthritis, for different autoimmune diseases. But I did have adverse reactions to it at first, and then they got better. I was taking it with folic acid, on a daily basis, and I took my methotrexate one time a week on Sundays, and then I switched to Mondays. Mondays were my days. So every week on Mondays, I just I would stay home. I would take my medication, and I just knew that Mondays weren't going to be good days for me. I knew I was going to be, I needed to stay by the bathroom. I knew that I just wasn't going to have a good day on Mondays. I was going to be extremely tired. And I was okay with that, to have 6 great days. Right. And so then when I became allergic to it, I had to stop taking it, and we had to try to figure out something else that could help me in my journey. And we ended up with leflunomide, which is another drug. That's the one I take. I take that one in addition to hydroxychloroquine. I take that as well. And I also go every 4 weeks and I get an infusion of a biologic medication called Orencia. Now, for me, this regimen has been working. So when my body shut down this past weekend, I thought, oh, is my medication not working anymore? Like, these are the things that are running through my head. But now I'm just understanding that it's a flare. I almost was like, oh my God, let me call my doctor, because maybe I need to switch medications. But again, I think that my medications are working for me. I just think that my body, my immune system is just misfiring right now. And there was an analogy that I thought of, that I said, okay, well, let me give it to you like this. My immune system is not an on-off switch. So the medications that I'm taking, they don't turn it on or turn it off. Think of it more so as a dimmer switch. So my immune system is trying to be as bright as possible. It's trying to be on the highest setting. But there's no need, because the sun is bright. There's no need to have on super high intense lights. But my body doesn't know that, and it's constantly trying to do that. So I take medications to turn the dimmer switch down, to bring the lights down. And it's like all of a sudden the dimmer switch went up, and now I'm in the middle of, oh my God, am I sick? It kind of feels like I have the flu. Like I have those like body aches, a headache. My hands are a little swollen. My throat hurts a little bit. And so it's just like a combination of all of that. And then the fatigue. I got up this morning at 5 a.m. For a prayer call. I did the prayer call. And then I was trying to get my day organized. I made a sandwich for my husband. I made him lunch. And I was trying to get my day organized. And I was like, why am I feeling like this? Let me take some more Dayquil. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm sick still. Even after my body shut down on Saturday with my family, I came back. We drove back. We got up at 3:30 in the morning. We drove back to Atlanta. We arrived at about 10:30 in the morning. I got dressed. I went to church, and I was just like, I got through church, and I got back home and I laid in the bed and I was just like trying to, kind of continue to have activities, get up, talk, walk around, talk to my daughter, talk to my husband. But it was tough. And I was like, what is going on with me? What is wrong? And then after I kind of sat there this morning and I said, you know what? I think this is a flare. I can't keep taking this medicine. It's not working. Like, I don't need to take any more Dayquil. I don't need to take any more Theraflu. It's not working. I think I am in the middle of a flare. So now the question is, what do I do? Right? What do I do with this flare? I have a busy week. I have things to do. I have become a I have become a travel agent. I have trips to plan for my best friend who is planning a trip. I have a trip to plan for my father who is turning 70. I have a new trip to plan for my sister-in-law who's turning 60. I have business that I have to do. I have a business with my husband. I'm busy. Like, I don't have time for a flare. So the question becomes, what do I do now? Right? Like, what's the plan? And for me, the plan is always God. It's always God. It's always spirit led. I did some research to understand that I'm in a flare, in the middle of a flare. But what it said was to rest. And as you can see, here I am in my bed, I'm resting, but that's not the end of it, for me anyway. We start our 21-day connect today, and it's a great opportunity for me to really lean in. Like, it's really time for me to lean in. This fast has to be intentional. I think God is showing me that I can really depend on him, and I can really speak to the mountain and tell the mountain to move. So that's what I'm going to do today. I am going to get my devotional started, and I am going to really make my words matter. So thank you guys for going through this realization with me about where I am in my autoimmune journey. I know my plan. I know God knows the plans that he has for me, and they are for my good, and they are to prosper me and, to do me no harm. So I'm standing on his word, and I'm going to make my words matter. So I promised I was going to do 21 days of filming. It's about God's kingdom, 21 days away from K-dramas and 21 days of filming. So this was day one, and I'm so glad that I did it, and I'm so thankful, and I'm just giving God all the glory. I know I'm going to feel better. I know I will feel better. I am going to feel better. I do feel better. Hallelujah, you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I am editing and uploading this whole video from this bed right here in the CapCut editing software. So if anyone, has anything that they want to say about this video, just know that I did my best. I'm pushing through the exhaustion. I'm pushing through not feeling well. So I really hope that the audio quality and the video quality comes through. I'm sorry. I'm going to do better. I promise. For these next 20 days. I love you guys. And I thank you for joining Kaya's Closet. I'll see you later. Bye.